Hey everybody, welcome back to the Center Lane, the political discussion for those of us who want to find consensus amongst our lawmakers, our government. Let's come together, let's get something done for the people, by the people. That's us, right? Today I was going to talk a little bit about a subject that's probably sucks a lot of oxygen out of a lot of conversations is Donald Trump. I call him Teflon Don. This guy can't. This guy literally could. I know back in the day he said I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and people would still vote for me. He's literally to that level right now. He is a shoo-in, barring whatever that other than nature taking its course. Right. We're only 90 days out. There's been little or no movement. We've seen some movement with Haley moving up a little bit. I mean, she has made some noise. She's taken away from Ramaswamy's and also DeSantis's small cut, but it's still a small cut in no way you look at it. Is there a chance that if everybody else was to drop out and consolidate behind her, could she make it? I don't even know if that'd be possible. A lot of those other candidates, they're people like Vivek's people are definitely go with Trump. So now he's at 60. He's going to be at 70% then. So that seems like it's pretty unlikely that she could make that leap. It'd be interesting to see, but a lot of these people aren't going to drop out anyways because they got the money and they're going to stay in there and just ride it out. DeSantis, although his money, if you looked at what he raised for this last quarter, he only raised $15 million, which sounds like a lot, but he can only use $5 million of it for this primary because he doesn't have any small donors. See, Trump, that's another way he's kicking everybody's butt. He's got all these small donors. He got $36 million the last quarter, and it's all small donors. DeSantis, the 10 million of the 15 he got was from large donors who cannot legally give him any more money for the primary. So that other 10 million has to sit on the sidelines. So yes, he does have the PAC, that super PAC, but they're running out of money too. Don't kid yourself. This guy's hurting. So, no love lost for that, although we get him back in Florida, but I'll take it. I'll take the hit for you guys. The rest of the country, we'll take him in Florida and endure his stuff. But Nikki has some good momentum going. So if things were to consolidate, she would have a decent shot. But I think really it's looking like Donald Trump, Teflon Don. Nothing could make this guy slow down the train. It doesn't matter what he says or does. And he's been saying and doing some really stupid, crazy stuff recently with the Hamas and the Israeli-Hamas deal. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute here. But now he says some things and people are just like, oh my God, how could he get away with saying that? Well, he does because, people love him and that's what it is. I was going to say too, nothing on the trail seems to hurt him no matter what he says. One thing I was talking to my daughter with, who is a lawyer, by the way, so I'm very proud of her. But we had a conversation. I asked her this, I posed this question there. I said, Trump keeps talking about the election was stolen. The election was stolen. And I got to thinking about that. I'm thinking, does he really believe that? Or does he say that because that's part of his defense? Because if a person truly believes that, then a lot of nonsense that he was pulling two to 3 years ago, he could use that as emphasis in court. Because if you truly believe that, you're not really breaking the law. Because in your mind, it was stolen. You're reacting to a theft. So if he was to say like today, oh, you know what? You're right. It wasn't stolen. I just lost. That might hurt him in court. So some of this craziness that he's coming up with, saying that it was stolen and still hanging on to that, might be for his own benefit. I mean, the guy's no dummy, man, He stayed out of trouble this long, right? So anyways, I was thinking, she said that and she had a technical term, which I should have written down. I didn't. But there is a precedent that, that's part of your defense is if you truly believe something, you're not really breaking the law in certain circumstances. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so, but I thought that was interesting. And one of the reasons why maybe he hangs on to that, because, I mean, dude, you went to like 60 judges. They've looked at it every which way to Sunday. There was no widespread voter fraud. There just wasn't, okay? I mean, we couldn't pull it off if we wanted to. You know how many people have to be involved in a voter fraud? Seriously? It would take thousands of people. And not one of them in 3 years has cracked and come and told us how they did it, because they didn't. They couldn't do it. Shoot, remember when Obamacare came out? I love Obamacare, by the way. But when they first launched the site, complete disaster. They took them 3 months to get it right. The government's just excuse me. You give them too much credit. I think people give them too much credit. Oh, Big Brother can do this and that. You'd be surprised what they can and can't do. And sometimes it's pretty shocking, right? Because, we get caught with our pants down all the time in the United States. That's how things happen and how people got over on us on a wide scale. For example, the PPP, Payment Protection Act, and all the things for COVID. 25% of that money just got stolen day one from people overseas. I mean, it's just, government just can't do as much as people think they can. And that's, for better or worse. So anyways, I think Trump's our guy. I mean, there's nothing that's going to derail him. People like him. He's going to keep saying crazy stuff. I think most people just ignore it, even though people that like him kind of ignore it. So that's that. I did want to talk a little bit, though, about the Israeli Gaza Strip, excuse me, headlines, which is horrible. Okay, let's be clear about one thing. That was a terrorist attack on Israel. Plain and simple. 1,000 people came across. There are 2 border crossings they only have on that side of Gaza, which, by the way, Gaza is only 24 miles long and about 4 miles wide. Not a huge area. They just got caught with their pants down. Totally, Israel did. And that's something that's going to have to be, hashed out. How did that happen? How did they get over to this degree? I mean, we had that same deal, remember, during 9/11. Those of you old enough to remember it. How the heck did these guys pull this off? Well, they did, and they pulled it off. And it's a shame, really, because honestly, there was actual hope for peace in the Middle East. And I'll give Trump some credit to that as well, and Biden both. And Saudi Arabia even stepping up, even though I don't like Saudi Arabia for a myriad of reasons. They're not really our friends. They're frenemies at best. But there was real hope for some consensus and some people actually, what's that again? Is that what we're here? Middle lane? Trying to get together and find a peaceful solution to some things, recognizing Israel as a state, as a right to exist. Hamas actually, oddly enough, if you've been looking at this a little bit, for the past year or two, and turns out it's all smoke and mirrors, but they were trying to change their profile in the world to be more of a peacemaker and stuff. And come to find out, that's a bunch of BS, right? Because what they did was absolutely horrible. Now, keep in mind, too, Hamas has about only 30,000 fighters in Gaza of 2.5 million people. And amongst that 30,000 fighters, there's subgroups. They don't even have solidarity amongst themselves. So mankind, human beings, we always find a way to, not get along. So anyways, I just don't know what's going to come next. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Israel wants to get their security back and they want retribution for what happened. But they got to be really careful, too, because, violence begets violence. And you got to be careful because they could, set in wheels the next generation of terrorists. And that's what happens over there. It's horrible. It's not only over in the Middle East. It's actually in northern Africa, too. I mean, you look at Somalia, you look at Chad, you look at Nigeria, you look at Rwanda. There's been genocidal and people that, bad people making the rest of the world quite miserable. So I just hope, that they can get the hostages back first off. And that they can find a peaceful, there's not a peaceful solution. That ain't happening. But a solution that would be beneficial to protect innocent life on both sides, on all sides of the world, not even just in those 2 countries right now, or that country, I should say. I think, not the religion seems to be a lot of our problems, but I think God, you're up there, you look down at the human race, and you go, man, you're the only species on the planet that acts like this. Yeah, there's other, there's insect worlds that attack each other, termites attack ants or whatever, but nothing like what mankind does, and that's just a shame. One thing, too, I would say, too, that just being careful on Israel's side as how they go forward with this is quite a few witnesses to the carnage that frickin' Hamas, created, which is horrible, said that a lot of those fighters that came across were like kids. And that should scare all of us, right? These aren't hardened jihadists. These are next generation kids who are being molded by these whack jobs to go out and kill and plunder and murder. And it's just, we just got to come up with a solution, the world as a whole, Hopefully, in our lifetime we'll see that. But, man, it's really, really discouraging. So, again, on a sour note, I hate to end it like this, but, just hoping that everything can come out as the best possible solution from here. The hostages get back okay. Israel can regain their sense of security, and innocent people on all sides of the world aren't the pawns in all this. The collateral damage is what seems they're considered, and it's just not right. So we're going to leave it on that. Thanks a lot for tuning in to Center Lane. And keep in mind, too, as much as I might bitch and moan, or we bitch and moan about our politicians, we are very fortunate here in America to have what we have. So let's put that in front of us first. Pray for the people that need our prayers. And I'll leave it at that. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.